Welcome, welcome back. I don't know about you, but I am beyond ready to share this time together. In fact, I was thinking that I look forward to the day when I might greet you by saying, "This was such a quiet week." Unfortunately, not this week. Just when we thought our hearts and minds could absorb no more pain or loss or suffering, the west coast of our country and states next to the west coast, 12 states altogether, seem to have erupted in flames, creating a natural holocaust of destruction and devastation. Once again, the ability or inability to breathe is in our consciousness as life and death literally hang in the balance. With the imminent approach of the High Holy Days, I had already been thinking about issues of life and death. That is, after all, the agenda of this season. Unlike observances in other cultures, including our secular culture, the Jewish New Year is not a time of frivolity, of noisy incantations against fearful pagan demons. It is a time of introspection and self-evaluation, of examining our lives and the ways in which we have fallen short in the last year, with an eye to doing better, to being better, to returning to our best selves. On Yom Kippur, we confront the reality of death itself, with the goal of returning to life renewed and rededicated, to living our lives according to our highest values and aspirations. The very first prayer on Erev Rosh Hashanah is entitled Hineni. Excuse me, it's entitled Hineni. Hineni, it's the same word, you'll see why I confused it. Hineni, and that's the first word of the prayer, which means, here I am. It is considered the cantor's prayer, as it is sung by the cantor out of a sense of inadequacy, as it continues, here I am, unworthy, impoverished in good deeds, and yet with the responsibility to represent my community in worship, to carry their deepest yearnings, their longings, expressed in prayer to God. On Rosh Hashanah morning, we read the story of Abraham and the near sacrifice of his son, Isaac. The story begins when God calls out to Abraham, 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 and he responds, Hineni, which is the same here I am of the opening Rosh Hashanah prayer. What does it mean to say Hineni or Hineni, here I am? In Abraham's case, it is his way of affirming that he is ready to do whatever God asks of him, even to sacrifice his son. We will not go into the horrific implications of Abraham's response at this point. Our tradition considers his answer to be praiseworthy, and I believe there is room for that interpretation. He is the first person in the Torah to respond to God's call with the all-in, Hineni, here I am, and thus becomes the founder of our people. So what does it mean, this Hineni? Is it attendance? I'm here? Is it an accounting of our soul? Is it a statement of fact? Or, as we discussed last week, is it a statement of faith? And if we are prepared to say Hineni, I am here, I am fully here, ready to look death in the face, ready to seek God's forgiveness and to plead for another year of life and health. What have we all been doing for the last 7 months? This year, I will share with you that the High Holy Days feel redundant. Every time we turn on the news, open a newspaper, check our computer, social media, we are confronted by death, by the knowledge that it is lurking closer than we care to think about. We don't have to simulate our death. We have already imagined it too many times and have grieved for parts of ourselves and our lives that are now lost. We want respite from this work, not an intensification of it. And yet, this is not the first time our people have cried out of the depths. This is not the first time. Forgive me. This is not the first time our people have cried their deepest yearnings at a time of terrible suffering and uncertainty. The return that we seek is not just to our best selves. The return is to God, to faith, to trust in something beyond us, beyond our power to comprehend, but not beyond our power of belief. That when we say, Hineni, here I am, we are not declaring our readiness or presence to an empty void. We are in need of renewal and of return, to a sense of purpose, to an affirmation of belief, to a place of faith. So let us put aside for this moment our doubts, our confusion, our anger and frustration with the crucible of the soul with which we have been living. Let us breathe and take our inspiration from a posting that our dear facilitator and administrative assistant, Rebecca Egolf, shared with me, as her sister, who lives in Seattle, posted about not being able to breathe in the smoky air. The following is by the American artist, poet, activist, and author, Cleo Wade. It is entitled, How to Breathe When You Want to Give Up. Today I am breathing through fatigue, fear, and feeling overwhelmed. I breathe because when I breathe, I am reminded that I am alive. I am reminded that to be able to fill my body with air means that I have the ability to keep going. I am reminded that my time on earth may be short, but it can be powerful if I dedicate it to love and fairness. When I breathe, I am reminded of Mary Oliver when she wrote, "Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" So I breathe and let my breath turn into a smile that says back to her, as much as I can. Let us take our meditative positions. We may want to sit close to the edge of our chair so that we might be at ease but attentive, feet planted firmly on the ground. I like to lay my hands in my lap and turn my palms upward and outward. And for me, closing my eyes is always helpful, although for some, just softening one's gaze and not focusing on any particular thing can also be helpful. And let us breathe. With a smile if that is possible, and if not, let it go. But let us breathe. Let us take that full, deep, cleansing, healing breath. Let us hold it for just an instant longer than we might. And then feel the letting go of it as it leaves our bodies. Taking with it whatever I don't know, carbon dioxide, we breathe in one, we breathe out the other. I learned that once. That is the miracle of it. The breathing in that sustains us, the breathing out that is necessary for that sustenance. Let us breathe in with gratitude that our air in this moment is clean enough. We can breathe it without difficulty. And please God, if you are here meditating with me or just sharing this time with me, you don't have to meditate. You are well enough to breathe in without difficulty. But boy, oh boy, it sure reminds us that we are alive. And this week, we are more aware than usual of how much of a gift that is. We are breathing in that breath of life with which God created humanity in the opening chapters of Genesis, which sometimes are read on Rosh Hashanah, marking Rosh Hashanah as the birthday of the world in our tradition. It sure is the breath of life. We breathe in with a sense of hineni. We are here. We are very present. And let us breathe out for these few moments. The conflict, the warring feelings within us. Hineni. I am here. I breathe out the impulse to turn away, to be absent, to think, what does it matter? This is the week of presence, of taking attendance, of accounting for ourselves, and bringing a bit of healing to our souls. I am reminded that to be able to fill my body with air means that I have the ability to keep going. So unlike Cleo Wade, let us breathe in the breath of life and not breathe through, but breathe out for these moments. Fear, fatigue, feeling overwhelmed by the monumental events that seem to take place daily in our world. Hinenu, we are here. We are here in all our fragility, our vulnerability. Nevertheless, we are showing up. We are here. We are ready and present to move into the future, to support one another, to give comfort to each other, to offer love to our families, our friends, our community, and in that way, to a world that is hurting very deeply. Let us take that breath with a smile. Answering Mary Oliver's question, it is the last line of her poem. I have shared it with you here. What do you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Oh, I do love Cleo Wade's answer as much as I can. We breathe in, Hineni. We breathe out our doubts, our frustrations. We breathe in. I am here. And we breathe out our unhappiness. Knowing those feelings will return. But let us know also that we can, from time to time, create the space that allows us to be the most positive versions of ourselves. By way of conclusion, I wish each of you a new year of health, strength, safety, and sweetness in a world that finds its way to increasing health and ultimately, we pray, to peace. I share with you this poem by Dana Folds entitled Breath of Life. I breathe in all that is, awareness expanding to take everything in, as if my heart beats the world into being. From the unnamed vastness beneath the mind, I breathe my way to wholeness and healing. Inhalation, exhalation, each breath a yes and a letting go, a journey and a coming home. May we all come home. I wish you a comforting, healing, restorative week. I look forward to seeing you between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and pray that these high holy days will be filled with goodness and augur well for the year to come. God bless.